And hello, everybody. Welcome to Hello Friends Podcast, a podcast of love. I don't know what I'm saying. Nicole, how are you doing?
It's a podcast of love, light, laughter, and friendship. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. It's a friendship podcast. I am so excited that we have Tyler here on this show. Yep. We're going to get to him in 1 minute because first we need to let everyone know wherever you're watching this, make sure that you guys follow, like, subscribe if you're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, TV Co, which is the chat that we are looking at. But of course, well, I should say that Nicole's looking at. I can see all of your chats wherever you guys are leaving questions. So make sure you put them wherever you are watching. Of course, also share the show. Share it now. Share it when you're watching it back. Just share the show. Sharing is caring. And of course, Nicole, what if they're listening to the podcast version back in the future?
If you are listening to the podcast version, please leave it a 5-star and a nice review and share it with all your friends and family and loved ones.
Yes, and if you need any more info from this show, you can head over to our website, hellofriendspod.com, click on the show post. We'll have all the links, like to Knot and Chain, because we're doing a giveaway. Make sure you check out our Instagram. It's super easy to win one of their bracelets. All you have to do is be following Knot and Chain on Instagram, following me, Reality Recaps, and following Angela's plant-based kitchen cookbook, right? Because this is Angela's new cookbook. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about all of it.
We found out she photographs everything herself, which I cannot believe because it looks like the most delicious food ever. But that's another topic.
I know. Well, we will talk about it later. All the information is over on Instagram for you guys to check out. But Nicole,
yes,
as we often do around here, we tell people you can also tweet your questions with hashtag TVCo Live. But then, Nicole, we say, I can't deny you to do the introduction.
And this is a really exciting one because I just saw D's Nuts, which is the funniest name, in the TV Co chat say 2 AFPs. Whoop, whoop, and it's true.
Yeah.
It is 2 AFPs together, friendship in the same location. It is somebody that I tweeted it out and I meant it when I say it and I still mean it. One of the best people to ever play the game. I claim that Paul and Tyler are my top 2 ever because they are. And I don't think anybody can ever top them. So, without further ado, it is the tremendous, the terrific Tyler Crispen.
Tyler!
I didn't know you tweeted that. That's so nice of you, Nicole. What's up, everybody? It's
Tyler,
good to see you guys, man.
We are so glad to see you back here in the real world.
Oh my gosh, I think I'm even more glad to be back in the real world.
It was a tough one. It was a tough go at it.
Tough go. Man, it's so good to see you though, Nicole. Gone too
Likewise.
soon. Gone too soon.
Oh.
I feel like I wasn't even there. I feel like I showed up and was like, hey guys, and then just left.
Oh man. Ugh.
It wasn't meant to be, and that's all right.
It was not meant to be. I just have to say my one funny comment before we get into everything on this show of my favorite moment on the show was just watching you two guys interact with each other. I loved, I believe it's on my Insta story where I think you guys were in the living room and you were like, we're doing the podcast. You guys got to check out Hello Friends Podcast. You did a whole thing about it. And then I just loved it when Nicole was going around to people being like, are you going to vote for me? And Tyler, you were like, I'm not, And then Nicole just walks over the camera and she's like, guys, it's good. We have an unspoken, understanding. We knew we weren't working together this season, but we're still friends and it's all good.
Right, exactly. I'm like, hey.
That was my empty threat. My empty threat was, if you don't vote for me, you're not coming on the podcast.
I was like, come on, man. I kept saying after you left, I was like, hey, the only podcast I want to do is Hello Friends. If Nicole will have me. So I was just hoping you would have me. So
yes, of course. And we appreciate it so much. And speaking of what Eric was just saying, did you also sense what I sensed very early on in the game, that like me and you obviously respected each other, but we kind of knew that we weren't aligned. So we were always like, sup.
I know, it sucked. I remember thinking at one point, I remember like you and I were in the kitchen. I was like,
yep.
Dang it. Dang it.
Well, I've got to say, Tyler, you did make the right choice. That was probably great for your game.
I was just passive. Nicole, you and I were both passive, you know? Yeah. I feel like we're like, all right, let these alliances come to us. And neither of us were like, hey, you want to do something?
Oh, yeah.
We're just like, okay, I guess we're not doing anything then.
Oh, and I always say like, I respect you so much, and I saw like your read of situations, but I knew, like, let's say you were closer to David than you were to me. I knew you were closer to certain other people. So I was always like, all right, let's just ride this out and see where it falls, and hopefully him and I line up further down the line. It was kind of like a Tommy situation last year, where like I knew what Tommy was doing and I liked him, but I was like, we're not really syncing up.
I was just like, let's make it work when it's time to make it work. And then boom, Memphis on the block out of nowhere. I'm like, okay.
Oh, well, I mean, I want to ask that question right off the bat, and then we'll jump into kind of, we try and go in order. But a lot of people, I guess, a lot of people wanted to know, have you watched any of the season back yet? So did you kind of like step away from it and say, that's it, I lived it? Or have you been watching any of it back now that you're out?
No, honestly, I watched like the intro portions already.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like on the stair stepper at the gym, and I just like watch a little bit of it. I just like to see what's out there, you know. I always say, good or bad, no matter how it ends for me, I want to watch it, you know. Mm-hmm. I still like Big Brother as a fan, so yeah, I watched like the first half of the first episode. I wanted to see everybody's intros. And yours was awesome, by the way, Nicole. I loved it. And you there, Eric. I saw you.
Look, you saying that you think it was awesome is great, because I filmed it all.
Dude, you killed it, man. You killed it.
It was great.
I had to film all of mine with a tripod, and I was disappointed. But
where was Angela?
Huh?
Angela couldn't film it for you?
Well, we both just set up a tripod because there was no third person, and she was in every aspect, and she had left. Like, she wasn't there the day I filmed the interview portion, so I had to set that whole thing up. It was a whole mess. It was a mess.
And the pop quiz question here is, all the photos that you took pre-season, is that what was on your memory wall, or no? Was that I didn't take any pictures until we got into sequester. Like, so I was just like, no, I don't have time to do it. And so my sequester manager had to take them. That was like 3 days before I went in there. But yes, it was just like iPhone 6 or 7 or whatever. Yeah. That was it. That was everybody's, right?
No, I got this one, Nicole. Hey, Tyler, it was so weird because before the season started, I had this other friend that I know that definitely isn't Nicole, and they made us take like 1,000 pictures like 4 times. That would take like 2 days to do every single shot they wanted, to where we wanted to bash our faces in a wall, and then none of them were used.
And none of them were used?
None.
Nope. And let's just say, maybe some they would have wanted to see space buns, and other ones hair down, other ones unicorn, other ones sophisticated. So it may have been a 4-time occurrence with a total of almost like 2,000 photos. But it's okay.
It's fine though, right? Oh my.
No.
You just refuse to do something, but like you already signed a contract. Sometimes it's like, I guess, because I was like, nope, Angela left, not here. I got nobody to take a picture. Like, someone just snapped a selfie of me.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
It is absolutely crazy. I'm sorry, go ahead, Nicole.
So that's preseason. We do want to start right from the beginning, because I know Chad has a lot of questions. We have a lot of questions. I want to start with premiere night. You didn't win that first part of the comp, and my question is, did you want to or try to? Was that a goal in mind?
I absolutely wanted to and absolutely tried to. I was just garbage at that thing. I feel like, I mean, it's easier to say now, but I feel like now it's set in stone that like first HOH is key. Like Cody just won. He was first HOH. What was last year? Jackson had power. He won. The year before that, I was first HOH. I made it to the end. Nicole before that, It's like, it's crazy. It was set in stone. So I was thinking, yo, I need to go for this. I need to gun for it. And then that got shot down pretty quick. You killed it though. You nailed that one. I mean,
I did well, and then I became a have-not, which brings me. Okay, here's the thing. We've had Kevin on the show. He was a fellow have-not. We brought Ian on the show, fellow have-not. Week 1. How did you decide on your bed/bedroom? Are you the type of person like, okay, which room do I want to be in? I want to be in the same room as like Enzo and Danny. Like, how did you decide that?
I didn't have any thought process like that at all. I remember just throwing it. I actually remember throwing my bag on the bed and then thinking like, yo, this dude Enzo is right next to me. I'm like, I don't really know who that guy is, and I'm kind of terrified of him. So I guess this is good or interesting. It's gonna be a long summer. But yeah, I didn't really think about it. Did you?
I did.
Yeah.
I wanted the bed next to you. I wanted the middle bed in that room because that was my bed last year, and I'm a creature of habit. Oh. So Enzo got my bed.
Oh man, yo, what could have been?
Nothing worked out because if you think about it, if I didn't win that comp, damn it, Nicole, for winning something, maybe I wouldn't have been a have-not. I would have been next to you. Final 2, who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? Oh, the coulda, shoulda, wouldas never end, do they? They start with heads and they never end. Oh man.
No, they don't. I say coulda, shoulda, not.
Coulda, shoulda, not.
Coulda, shoulda, not. But yeah, I mean, I see a lot of people in the chat saying, what does Tyler think of all of the preseason alliance rumors? So, I mean, obviously you've been out now. There are a lot of people that feel the committee was formed ahead of time. What do you have to say about that?
Well, that's false unless I have no idea, unless I was brought in once we got there. But yeah, no, I didn't even know who Memphis was. Like, no, definitely not. The committee was definitely not a preseason thing. Yeah, I'd never talked to or met Danny or Memphis, or I never really talked to Nicole at all. So no, that definitely was not a preseason. No.
It never seemed like you were part of it. It always did seem like you were brought in after the fact. It seems weird, but in all honesty, I know it's an unpopular opinion, I really don't think it was this big, everyone's meeting on Zoom calls and talking. I just think it's normal. You guys are friends, or obviously Cody and Nicole are gonna work together. They played on the same season. Like, I just think it was a lot more of that, but
totally.
Yeah, it was interesting how they all got together fairly quickly. But I really, Nicole had to remind me a lot that you were in that alliance in the beginning. She got out. I always kept forgetting that you were part of the committee, which I kept saying was such a testament to your game. Even watching it and watching the feeds, I was always like, oh, I don't associate Tyler with that group.
Yeah, it was weird. I remember, I don't know if it was like talked about a lot. I remember saying like in the diary room, and not anything bad about Memphis or Nicole, but I remember saying, not you, Nicole, the other one. I remember saying like, I would have literally put Memphis and Nicole F on the block if I won. So now I've just been brought into this alliance, and I guess I'm gonna ride with it. You know, like I said, you and I were like passive. Like we just kind of let it happen, so, you know? And I'm like, I can't say.
How'd you won that second HOH that Memphis won? Because I know like me, you, Bailey, I believe Davon were like the only ones left, and Memphis knocked us all out. At that point, would you have like pivoted on them, or was it like, oh no, we're loyal, we're solid, I'm gonna go after the Janelles, the Kaysars?
Oh, the second one, I don't remember where I was at exactly. I do remember after the committee, after like Memphis originally brought it to me, I remember thinking there was like at least a couple weeks where I was like, I don't even know the name of this alliance. Like, I have no idea what the name is. No one has. If they told me, I forgot, because I didn't think it was legit for a while. And then Memphis won the HOH. I won it, and I was like, okay, I got this alliance. I might as well, you know what I mean? And then everyone just kept winning everything. So eventually, we're like, yo, committee, let's go.
I mean, I want to bring up one more point now, just because I'm thinking about it. I know that there have been a lot of questions about people wondering, were you happy in that alliance? Because I don't know if you've seen the clips. It was hard for me to watch you kind of go through it. I think you were talking to David and you were kind of just saying like, my heart really isn't in this. It's not necessarily with these people, or the game has changed and I don't like lying to people anymore. I don't like manipulating people for money. And a lot of us were saying that watching you. Like we almost felt like we felt watching it that maybe you weren't loving who you were working with, or it was just a different Tyler this season that seemed like he wasn't enjoying the game. So what do you want to say about that?
No, definitely. You know, I wouldn't say as much it was I didn't love the people I was working with. More like Big Brother in general. You know, I think I learned about it my first time. I learned a lot about myself. Like, you know how it is, Nicole. It's like,
Yep.
It's like, man, it really sucks, you know, to have to do these things to these people, and especially coming in when everyone knows each other. I'm like, I don't want to write it in the history books that like I backstabbed Nicole, and I don't want that to be a cool thing that I like tell people about. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just feel like Nicole, you and I feel like we're empaths.
Yes, extremely.
So it just, this time it got me hard, especially at the beginning. You know, I felt like I wasn't really diving into my game as much as I could have or should have at the beginning. So yeah, it definitely started like getting to me around like week 2, week 3. Yeah.
And what's interesting about that is I always like kind of like equate it that I was on last season, lasted 99 days and cracked like week 2. You were on a year prior for 99 days. And I don't want to say cracked, but you kind of had your moment, like, you know, a couple weeks after me. So I think it has to do with not being out of the situation for long enough. I think you and I were so close to it. Yes, David was on my season and Bailey was on yours, but they went out sooner. I think you and I saw the trajectory ahead and how strenuous it is. And we know the curfew, the no light switches, the no time outside. And I think we saw like, oh, this is going to be a lot more difficult than.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like we know, it's like we saw what was ahead of us, you know. It's easy and it's fun the first time because everything's so new. Yep. And it's like, this is Big Brother, this is what it's all about. And then afterwards you're like, wait a minute, that person was like really my friend, and now they think I really don't like them because I got them out. But I was like acting like a jerk at the same time when I got them out because I thought that's what Big Brother was. Yep. You know, it's just such. Yeah, I said it in my recent post. I was like, this game is honestly not for me. Like it just goes against my like soul and everything, you know. It's a tough one.
I know that I'm sure, Nicole, you know, you want to talk about it. Obviously, Nicole had a very bad breakdown in that house, and then I think coming out as well. And I think the only person I saw, which again was so hard to watch, was you during the jury segment when you saw Angela. And I think it goes back to being like, I think you and both Nicole are very like, or are empathic people. And not to say, and I know I said this on the other show and people were like, well, Devon was crying. It was seeing her. I'm like, yes, and Danny too. I'm not saying that at all. Obviously, they're emotional. It was like, I could see the pain in Nicole's face in that game. And I feel like when you saw Angela, like I saw the pain almost in your face, like, oh God, I want to be done.
Yeah. You nailed it, man. You nailed it. I was just, it's something that I know it's what I struggled with even going in. I was like, I said no like 3 times and I came back.
Oh my gosh.
The show.
Wow.
And like, just, I don't know. It might be one of those things where you set yourself up for disaster when you think it's going to be really bad. So I feel like it was a mixture of that. And it was actually really bad. It sucked being away from her and just playing the game.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be manipulative, you know what I mean? And I definitely saw that with you, Nicole. you know,
What?
like on your last week.
And I think that's why I also had like the breakdown that I did is again seeing, okay, this is what the future is going to hold. And it's not, oh, I don't know anybody from Adam. So if I don't trust them, I could tell them after the game, sorry, I didn't know you.
Right.
When you know people from the real world, it's like, ooh, this is a really icky feeling when they're people I've hung out with, spoken to, whether it be once or twice or 3 times. So it was, like Eric was saying, the reaction you had to Angela was very similar to the reaction. Again, I'm not like, I don't have a significant other, but it was the reaction I had when I saw my sisters when I first called them. And it was just a moment of like, I'm done. Like,
right.
I can't.
Right. Like, that's enough. It's been long enough. I totally get that.
What made you say yes if you said no 3 times? Like, what made you change your mind?
I kept thinking back to myself, like when I was auditioning for Big Brother, when I was like 21. I literally submitted my audition tape on my 21st birthday. You know, I went to all the casting calls. I wanted to be on so bad. And I would just think like, there's only a few things I've been so passionate about in my life. It was like, 1 was I wanted to be a beach lifeguard. 2, I wanted to be on Big Brother, and I did. So I was like, all right, you know what? I owe it to myself to give myself another chance, you know, no matter how tough it's going to be. But it was such a tough decision. And like Angela and I, eventually it was just like, neither of us were wanting it to happen 100%, but we're like, we need to, you know?
Absolutely. And I know part of my joke was, you know, kind of like, what's the worst that could happen? Because I did also have a lot of reservations in regard to saying yes. And, you know, you start to think of like, I said to myself, the regret I would have saying no would forever burden me more so than the anxiety I would face going into the house again. And I said to Eric, what's the worst that can happen?
We talked about it so much, and I mean, I guess you wouldn't have known, Tyler, but I'm sure you and Angela, it's kind of the same thing where you have to keep up your public persona. And remember, we were doing our spectacular. Nicole's public persona was a show every day, tweeting multiple times a day. So guess who had to become Nicole? We had to do like triple the work the 2 months before. And then I remember exactly what Nicole said. Like, we would just joke around, be like, what's the worst that could happen when you go on the show? Everyone loves you, Nicole. Nothing bad's gonna happen.
Wow.
Oh, Lord.
Famous last words, huh?
And now, did Angela take over like your socials? Like, was she like holding down the fort?
Oh my, Angela took over everything, like every single thing. Not in Shane, we do all together 100%. She took that on 100%. She was launching her cookbook, had to do that 100%. Had to do my social media, her social media. Like she has another business that she runs. It was insane. So that was a huge burden that I felt. I was like, I'm just putting all of my stuff on you. And I was like, oh, I know she can handle it. I know she could crush it. But just the fact that I had to do that, it's so much. And I'm forever grateful. You know, she crushed it too. She crushed it. Like, I'm so proud of her, man.
It is.
I love it.
She definitely. Go ahead, Nicole.
I was going to say, speaking of struggles, here's my perfect pivot back to game. You know, early in the game, we had a me and a David on the block, and you, Tyler, played in that veto. And I know what you were telling both of us. So my question is, were you trying to win that veto? And if so, would you have used it to take one of us down?
Hey, listen, I don't know how they edited it, but I want to say, I told Memphis this in the jury house. I was trying to use that, and I was trying to take David off the block. Because at that point, maybe that does make sense. Because at that point, I was like, man, the committee might not even be legit, you know? And this guy didn't even tell me what he was about to do for nominations. So he probably doesn't trust me. And like, David was my guy. So I was like, all right, man, you know what? I'm going to gun for this thing, use it on you, and who cares? Whatever. We'll just be out in the open as a duo. So
I would have loved to see that happen.
I was dying. I don't know how Eventually, I just was like, all right, I guess it's all right. Memphis in my alliance, so. But I was definitely gunning for it, and my wrist almost snapped off. That was
you were like a collapse. It was scary to watch.
Yeah, it was every ounce of my strength. Like it was the wrist, that was crazy. That was a crazy comp.
It was bad.
I hated that. I hated that was the one that you left on too, because I was just like, you know what I mean? That was not your comp, Nicole. That was not your comp. There's so many comps that are yours, but that was not it.
That was not it.
That was not it. Yeah, it was very hard to watch. I have to say, I want to take a comment from Abby Love in the TV Code chat, who I saw her say, there's a ton of questions I could ask about the game, but really I just want to say one of my favorite moments of the season was watching you two guys eating Chex Mix together in the kitchen.
Yeah, Chex and peanut butter.
Yeah. Delicious, by the way. I was skeptical. I was like, I don't know, Tyler, but I'll see.
That was like right when you off a have not and stuff too. I remember that.
Yes, and you were actually, now that I think of it, because I was talking to Kevin about it and how Kevin was like one of my saving graces in the house. I will say, you were someone who, when I was struggling, obviously you remember, but like you would always say to me like, shoulders back.
Yeah.
Head up. Because I would walk into rooms and just shrink, and I felt myself shrinking because I was struggling so bad. And you'd be like, shoulders back, chin up. And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
I remember that. It was just crushing me to see you like that. I remember you just like, you had that look where it's like, man, the world is against me right now. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I know, Nicole, that is not Nicole. This game is one thing, but yeah, I remember we had that like 2-hour conversation in the love room that one time.
Yes.
No, you do what you gotta do. Like whatever your family would want you to do, you do it. That was my favorite conversation we had.
That's when I was ready for like house meetings. I was ready to
I was like, you know what? You do it. I was like, you throw me under the bus. I don't care. You do it. Go ahead.
You should have just done it. I was just gonna bury everybody. It would have been a shit show.
It would have been awesome. But you know what? It was probably a good call. It was a good call.
I don't think we'll ever know. We'll never know. That was a fun. That was a fun week of feeds. That week that Nicole went home, where it was very much: is she calling a meeting? Is she not calling a meeting? Is she calling a meeting? Is she not calling a meeting?
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was definitely a crazy week, and we'll never know. I wish if there was an option where genies were real and we had wishes, I would seriously want one of my wishes to be that I had the power to like see out alternate timelines of Big Brother.
Cool.
It would have. I think it would have changed everything, or you could have been the same. You never know.
I don't know. I think I don't know that it. I don't know. Maybe. I guess we'll never know. We'll never know. But I think I don't know. I'm gonna go with I don't know.
Right now, I guess. Man, that was a tough break, Nicole. I told you, it was like, man, it feels like you're trapped at every corner. I'm sure you've gone through it so many times in your head again, but I don't know.
I had no way. I was in the spot I was in. It was just stuck.
It was just, I hate Big Brother.
And speaking of predicaments, you got kind of put in one by our dear friend David when, he kind of went to Davon and Bailey and was like, Tyler told me this. And then he went to you and was like, oh no, Tyler, I did a bad thing.
David, how are you going to throw me under the bus and then tell me 5 minutes later that you threw me under the bus? I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like, what are you doing, man? I was like,
what was going through your head in that moment?
I was like, all right, well, fourth evicted is fine, I guess, whatever. I get to go home. Sure. I don't know, man. It was such a weird time. I remember thinking like, all right, we can chill the rest of the week. Noms are locked. I got nothing else to worry about. We're good to go. Boom, David, 2 a.m. Hey,
damn it, David.
I gotta tell you something. Come on, David. Yeah, from that point on, I was like, man, I just want to work with this guy, but I can't even tell him I want to work with him because then he'll go tell everyone else that I want to work with him and I like him. So I just got to work with him behind the scenes and keep.
But don't tell him.
But not tell him. I don't know, man.
He's great.
Funny. He's funny.
He did you know that David told Devon on Nicole's eviction week that there was an all guys alliance. And it was one of the things that, you know, made Devon feel kind of the way that she did, except that there wasn't one.
Except that there wasn't.
Right.
There wasn't. Like,
He's like, I'm just going to paint a target for no reason.
And,
we're going to discuss this with David tomorrow.
Did he say he was in it? I don't know, man.
I don't remember. I just remember Soul being like, what?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I could have like, yeah, that's why that kept getting brought up apparently. Man, there was so much stuff going on. I was just like, whatever.
Well, you know, one of the things, Tyler, that went on that I found hysterical?
Huh.
Nicole got up there. She did her eviction speech. She was like, this is all stars, not all scared. Like, she did that whole thing. And then what happened next, Nicole?
And then Tyler, you know, I went home. I flew home cross country, 5 hours, sitting in my living room. I'm going to watch Big Brother. And I'm watching Big Brother. And I see a certain Tyler in the DR. And Tyler in the DR says, this is all stars, not all scared. And I was like, oh, son of a bitch, he took my line.
Yo, did they let me quote? They cut me quoting you? I swear I quoted you during that. They must have cut it.
No, there was no credit. There was no citation. There was nothing.
I quoted you, Nicole. I swear.
She was sitting right next to me for that episode, Tyler, and she just looked at me and she was like, Tyler just stole my line.
I'm sorry. Hey, it was a good line, okay?
Yes. And the funny thing was, I know it resonated with you because when I delivered that speech afterwards, like I did like a perusal of the couches, and you looked at me and you were like, yeah. And I was like, okay, that got to Tyler. Tyler liked my speech.
I did like it. I stole it. And then I won HOH right after that too. So I was like, yeah.
Yeah, that is.
I'm scared. I'm winning. I'll give you the credit, man. That's not right.
Okay.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Do you want to tell Tyler your last sentence for your speech?
Oh, the ending of my speech, Tyler, that I got nervous and like cut myself off and didn't say the ending was like, and Memphis, you might think you're an alpha, but you're getting rid of me because you know I'm an Anthony, and that's how I was gonna end it.
Oh, okay.
And I panicked and didn't say the ending, but afterwards I was like, darn it, I missed my last sentence.
You know, that's all right. The hug at the end was nice. You're like, give me off.
Because it's just a game. It's, you know, nothing's personal. Like you said, especially when you are an empath, like you're like, we're all just people. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's okay. I'm leaving. Just
vote me out. It's fine. Just
and you reacted the same way when you were evicted. You were very like, guys, like whatever. Like, okay, it happened. Yeah. Okay.
What it is. You know, you and I have evicted enough people. It was, you know what I mean? It was.
Yep.
That's how it goes.
All those notches on the belt.
Yeah, we got a lot of notches on our belt. We had to get one on ourselves, you know.
Mm-hmm. I want to take a question over from YouTube. Multi Skins for Life, and you got this from a lot of people, said, Tyler, was there any specific reason you didn't want to work with Janelle and Kaysar? Because we felt like at times you wanted to. And I'll expand on that to say a lot of people really felt like when even Kaysar went to you in the HOH room the week you were HOH, it really felt like you wanted to work with him. So what do you want to say about that?
No, that's true. That's true. I told him so many times, I'm like, man, I really wanted to work with you, man. You know, I remember Janelle coming to me early on, like, and you and I need to protect each other. And I was like, sure do. Let's do that. But then when I won HOH, no lie, every single person threw them under the bus to me and was like, hey, these two are mentioning you and Cody as a duo. Like, what are you gonna do about it? So at that point, it was even if it was true or not, I had to be like, okay, Janelle and Kaysar, you got to be nominated because everyone is throwing you under the bus, and I'm confusing everyone if I don't do that. You know what I mean? So yeah, and Kaysar was like, I thought Kaysar was my number one on day one. I was like, this guy and I are clicking, you know, and then that's just the way it worked out, you know.
And now, when you put the two of them up, did you know, like, of the two, your bigger target was Janelle, or were you kind of like, oh, if they take out either one?
Yeah, I feel like when I put them up, I was like, man, Janelle is just a beast. Janelle is the OG. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And she was the one that everyone was like talking about, like, all right, Janelle's been trying to flip the vote to get David out. She was trying to flip the vote to get Keisha out. Or no, not Keisha.
Keisha to stay.
Yeah. Or no, Kevin. Yeah.
Yes.
So I was just like, you know what? She seems like the bigger threat. I'm sure the house is going to want her out. So I was like, all right, yeah, Janelle's got to be the target. It sucked, though, because I was like, man, I love Janelle myself, and I'm sure everyone's going to be so mad at me for getting Janelle out, like, on the outside world. But
I walked in on you guys once talking. Like, I walked in, I think it was the love room, and I was like, what's going on here? Them two are sus. I think Janelle's part of that alliance. Like, that's what, there was a lot going on in my mind, but I was like, these two, don't trust that.
I know. We never, like, solidified anything. That was the thing. Like, I wanted to so bad, but it was just, I don't know. I was just in too deep, too many other areas to reach out to her myself, you know.
Everybody gets a deal.
Everybody gets deals.
I see Nicole F fan 83 in TV Co chat says sus, laugh out loud. Yes, I don't know why we ever let Nicole on Twitch. Now Nicole is using all the, like, Among Us lingo. Now things are sus to Nicole. Yeah, I can't.
Tyler, that means suspect. Like, that's sus.
Yeah, we know.
I've been gone too long, Nicole. You're going to have to explain a lot of these things to me. I don't know.
We know.
I mean, perfect question. Being away so long and not being aware. Melanie in the TVCO chat said, what's the most shocking thing you learned once you were evicted? And do you want any answers from the live feeders?
Ooh, I don't know. I did hear that I did hear that Chadwick Boseman died.
Yes.
That was freaking terrible. I was just watching Draft Day in Jury and thinking about, man, this guy is awesome. I was literally having that thought, and oh, that's so sad. And so I remember last time I was on, Mac Miller had died, and I had seen him in concert. Like, I was a huge fan, and yeah, it just, I hate that aspect. I just remember thinking about that in the house. I'm like, you know what the worst thing is coming out of this house and hearing which famous people or celebrities have passed away, you know? It's the worst thing. But that's really the only thing that really threw me that I've heard so far, you know?
And what about when you entered Jury? Was there anything game-wise that you found out from the people that were already in Jury or from the people that then entered after you that you were like, what? I had no idea that was happening.
Ooh, game-wise. I feel like in the goodbye messages to me, I learned pretty much a lot. I learned that, like, Memphis and Enzo and Cody had their little thing, and then that Memphis had a final two. That Cody had final twos with everybody. I learned that. But I knew about the Nicole thing. I figured about the Enzo thing. Yeah, it was interesting, you know. But going into the Jury house, I can't remember off the top of my head that I learned anything particular that, like, really threw me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Well, oh yeah, Danny was like, I guess Danny and Nicole and Cody and someone else, was it Enzo, had an alliance or something like that? I was like, that kind of threw me. Yeah, just all the alliances I was like, not a part of, kind of threw me a little bit.
I will say everybody had alliances with everyone else. There were so many alliances you couldn't even keep track of the alliances if you tried. But speaking of throwing things, Tyler, you shouldn't throw stones in a final two glass house, because I think you might have had just as many, which leads me to my question from so many people. They want to know, was it fluid for you? Like, obviously you're never going to turn down a final two if someone comes to you. So was it like a fluid thing? You were just going to see where it went? Or did you have someone in mind that really would have been your final two had you could have had it your way?
I was super, super fluid this year. I feel like I was pretty fluid my first season. Yeah. But I was even more fluid this time. I was just thinking long term. I remember close to the time I was leaving, I remember thinking like, I want to be in the final 3 with Memphis and Christmas, because I feel like those are 2 people that have played good games, but I feel like Christmas was arguing with Danny as she was leaving, like walking out the hallway, she was arguing with Danny. So I was like, all right, I want to stay in the final.
With everybody.
You know what I mean? Like, so I remember being super fluid, and that was my last thought. I wanted to be in the final 2 with Christmas or Memphis for sure.
Wow.
So it was kind of easy for me to, you know, have the whole Christmas dynamic the whole time about our final 2, because I felt like once jury started, like I felt like the jury wasn't her biggest fan. And then when I got to jury, they were like, oh man, we wanted you to go to the end. And I was like, oh man. Like, I feel like I would have got this season if I would have made it. That's how it goes.
And I think you being so fluid last time and this time is such a testament, because obviously you are very good at comps, but your social game is, I think, one of the best ever. I think we saw that case in point during that one knockout comp when everybody was picking the next 2 players, and you were just sitting there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nobody's picking Tyler. And I'm like, that's the people you have to pay attention to, are the people that nobody's picking. Yeah. That to me is a red flag, because it's like, why is nobody picking Tyler? Because everybody's like, he's good.
Yeah, I know. I was shocked. I remember that point specifically. I was like, okay, I must be doing all right. I must be doing all right. No one's picking me, you know? Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of leads us into Christmas's HOH week. And Tyler, people not happy with you.
Yeah. When are they happy, man? When are they?
So, you know, I'm sure, have you watched any of what fans saw from that week? Or like, have you seen any of that back yet? I guess let's put it that way.
I don't think I've seen a lot of it back, but I mean, I lived it. So.
Right, you lived. I just
which is different. I would argue it's very, very different what you're experiencing versus what is seen.
Well, obviously the feeds were cut pretty much for most of everything, but obviously what a lot of fans felt about watching the way things played out is, you know, we saw you struggling. I saw it differently because Nicole's back in the real world, and I know the mental breakdown that she had, and I kind of, not to put that on you, but it very much seemed like you were breaking down. And then
I'm not ashamed of it, you know. I definitely was.
And then to go to Devon and Bailey and say that you are there for their cause, for, you know, Black Lives Matters, for all of that. And then I think fans were, I don't think they were upset, because then they felt almost like it was taken back. But that you didn't go to them, I guess, and say, hey, or we didn't see you go to them. I shouldn't say that you didn't, but we didn't see you go to them and have any conversation with them. So I think that's where a lot of people's like anger towards that situation comes from. So what do you want to say about it?
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, first things first, that was like, you're right. I was 100% breaking down. And it's kind of like what we talked about earlier. It's just like, that was at a point where the game, it had all just built up inside me. You know what I mean? And then I was like realizing who my alliance was. I was realizing who I wanted to work with and who I was actually working with, you know, not that anyone I was actually working with were bad people, but I got to that point, you know?
Yeah.
And that was, like I've said, that was 1000% genuine that I shared it. I felt like that was a point when I just like popped off. I was like letting all of this off of my chest, you know? And then when I went to Christmas, well, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that happened after I did that, by the way, that will never make the show, and I probably can't talk about too much of it, but it was basically like, you do realize if you do this, you're in breach of your contract, you know, you can't just offer yourself up like that, you know? So then I kind of wasn't allowed to use the wording with Christmas, like, hey, put me on the block. I wasn't allowed to say that. I had to try and find a way to get her to do it without saying it. And it put me in such a downward tailspin. And I had the conversation with Devon, after they let me know, after they filled me in, like, hey, you're in breach of your contract. You cannot do this. I was like, hey, listen, I don't know if you're going to pick up what I'm saying right now, but I can't even say it out loud. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not allowed to speak those words. I have to do this in a different way. I have to, you know what I mean? I have to go around it somehow because I'm being genuine right now and this is how I'm feeling. And it made Christmas and I closer. I remember thinking like, I'm trying to get myself put on the block right now. And Christmas is really happy that I'm confessing all this information to her. And she thinks that it's making us super tight right now.
And for those in the chats that are maybe like, that doesn't make sense because we've seen people in the past offer themselves up. When it comes to the contract, there's a very big difference between like, oh, dude, make me the pawn, okay? Make me the pawn. Like, I'll be the pawn. I'm going to say, that's very different when you're ignorant versus saying, guys, I want out. I'm done. Put me up and vote me out. And there's a very big difference between like a Dan's funeral where like, whatever, you guys don't like me, get rid of me. That there's a difference between that and no, really, get rid of me.
Yeah.
So that's where in the contract, it's very different. Different situations are different. Like Luan saying, "Oh, get rid of me, I'll get a power." That's not the equivalent.
Right. No, it definitely isn't. And you know, I know it hurts the integrity of the game and all that, but like I've been kind of saying, like I don't feel bad. You know, I'm like that's how I felt. You know, I wanted to leave. I wanted them to do well, and I felt like I was not contributing to them doing well. And then when I was told that was in breach of my contract, I'm just like, I remember feeling so trapped. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, I feel so, I feel bad even saying it either way. You know what I mean? But I just I felt really bad in that situation. And then I felt I couldn't get out of it. You know what I mean? And I felt bad for even, I don't know. And then it just wasn't good for Christmas's game. It didn't make any sense. So, and then eventually I was just like, all right, you know what? I guess I'm here. You know, it was.
Yep. And in the jury house, we did see you. The portion that we saw was you having a heart-to-heart with Davon. If you don't mind answering, like how does that stand now? Have you had like additional conversations with Davon or Bailey? Like has more like a dialogue?
Oh, that's huge. Like Davon and I were like, oh my gosh, that was such a huge relief that we were able to get that off our chest because it was something that was bothering both of us so bad, you know, leading up to that moment. And even like when I first got to the jury house and before we had that conversation, it was still a little bit like suspect, like sus.
Sus, yeah.
It was such it's like they say the hardest, the hardest conversations to have are the most important ones. So yeah, and then we talked afterwards and we were able to clear it up even further. It was just like, she was like, I think you're a good person. I know where I stand with you. And I was like, same to you. Like, this is everything, you know? And then we sang karaoke for 2 weeks straight. And
I don't think anybody will understand. And the only thing that I can say to people for what it's worth is like, I'm sure we have new people here, but I've been covering Big Brother for 10 years. I have seen the other side of it this season to the point where a lot of people have even said to me, like, Eric, you seem checked out this season. And it just, I don't think anybody, because I thought I understood covering the show, I don't think anybody understands. I'll just put it this way. You guys are not people. You are things to bring in ratings and money for advertising. And as you know, you can't even necessarily maybe say that's not fair. If a contract was signed and you're paid to do that, then that's what it is. So it's just like, I don't think people understand how hard the situation is that you must have been in. And I'm sure had you thought it through, you could have just phrased it differently. Like, just go on a warpath and be like, screw you, I'm coming after you and your game and your game and your game. And then they might have loved it for good TV. But I do think that, you know, what Nicole said was the point. I think where it trapped you was because you literally said to them, I want to leave to help you. I want to walk out to help you. And I believed that you meant it in that moment.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna be a broken record of me saying I meant it, but I don't know what else to say. You know, I can say I meant things. I can say my perspective on things, and people are always just gonna believe what they want to believe. You know, and
Correct.
that's not up to me. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the toughest spot I felt like I was in. You know, but at the time, like I'm okay with it because I felt like I spoke my truth, and it was such a weight lifted off my shoulders when I was talking to them. And it's one of those things where it's like, you know what I mean? It's crazy. It's crazy how it worked out. That's what I say. I'm not meant for that game because just trying to be a good person and do the right thing is so conflicting with how you're meant to play the game or how Big Brother is supposed to be.
Apparently. They don't go hand in hand at all.
Don't go hand in hand, you know. But I mean, all I can ever say is I was being genuine, and I was breaking down. I was having a tough time, and it's just I'm glad I got through it, and I'm glad I was able to talk to Davon about it. And
absolutely,
it was genuine because that meant a lot to me, and it all hit at once in the jury house. When you asked me about it.
If there is anything that I learned coming out of this season, and I think Nicole learned it, is that you just have to know who you are as a person. And then once and I think you both are very good at that yes, it hurts to see things people say about you that don't know the whole story and don't understand. But I think as long as you know and your family knows and the people you care about and the people involved know, you know, I think the issues between cast members, as long as it's resolved between them, I think that's the important part.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I've been saying, like, I'm not scared to talk about this, you know, because I could just say what I was feeling, and that's the fact, you know, and I can say that we were able to talk it out, and that's a fact, you know. I just, you know, at the end of the day, I feel good, you know. We came out of it. It's over. I'm more than happy that it's freaking over. Oh my god. But
and perfect transition, and this was the retaliation for the people that were mad at you. So there they go, they got it. When you were eventually nominated by Danny, because that week everybody and their mother was nominated.
Yep, everybody.
What were your thoughts like on the block next to Ian? Were you thinking like, oh, I could go?
Oh, for sure. I was like, I remember thinking that week early, I was like, oh man, Danny's gonna backdoor me. If I need to just win the veto somehow, because that was after it had all come out that I was throwing her under the bus and everything. So yeah, I kind of saw it coming. But I was like, all right, now I have a chance of playing the veto, and now I have the veto. And I definitely thought I was going home, especially because Nicole and Ian were supposed to be really tight, and then all of a sudden they're telling me like, hey, committee, we're keeping you, and I'm like, okay, thanks.
Sounds good to me.
What do you want me to do? That sounds great. I don't know. No, I definitely thought I was going home.
Well, Danny was coming for you. Like, you were the plan. Danny was coming for you. It was happening full force. And then I forget. I reject all Big Brother information once the season's over. Thank God Nicole's around here. Do you remember what the turning point was for Danny? I mean, I'm sure Chad does.
It was David using his disruptor power. Like she was going after Tyler, but kind of like, you know, sneakily. And then when David used the power, she was like, all right, get up there.
Yeah. I don't even know. Shoot. Like
then it was, you know, kind of just like a back and forth until, of course, Triple Eviction night when you got your white whale.
Yeah, sure did.
and you solidified. This season we saw so many HOHs also win their own veto, which I thought was very, very interesting.
Yeah, that's true. Sweep the week.
Yeah, and you just locked it in. You're like, hey, you're gone now.
Boom, just like that. Yeah, that was a crazy one. I feel like everyone in the house pretty much knew what I was gonna do. You know what I mean? At that point, because I've been talking about Danny for weeks, and I'm like, yo, Danny was the only one that put me on the block. You know, I didn't know where she stood, so it was just like, okay, that's how it's got to be.
Yeah.
And how did that night feel? Because obviously I lived through one double eviction, and it is absolute insanity. What does a triple eviction feel like?
I'm telling you, like, you are lucky you were not there for that. It was so ridiculous. It was ridiculous. I remember feeling afterwards that night like I had ran 2 marathons. Like, exhausted, exhausted. Like I broke down in tears afterwards. I was like, I was packing up David's stuff and I'm like crying my eyes out, It was just so exhausting. And I can't even believe they did that. Like that was nuts. Like a triple? What? That was, yeah. No,
Yeah.
Don't recommend. I will never want to go through that ever again in my life.
I still wish they would have done it like Big Brother Canada style, which I think would have made it a lot more interesting had it been where 3 people are nominated and it's vote to save just one and then the other 2 go. I think that could have been a more interesting dynamic for it, but yeah,
for sure.
I
definitely had a chance to win the 3rd one. So, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say that would have been better. I don't know. That would have been crazy though.
I really think, and I mean, of course, we can say woulda, coulda, shoulda, but I mean, if Enzo would have gone along with the plan, I feel like this would have been, obviously anybody doing anything different would have made everything different, but I really feel like it would have changed so much for all of you that I think we would have had a different end game completely.
Yeah, for sure. That was crazy. It must have, I mean, Enzo obviously felt so tight with Cody at that point and Memphis that he didn't even want to go against him, but I was just like, man, like
so close
for him in the end. I was like, oh, so close. I've been trying, like throwing little hints at Enzo for weeks, like, man, Cody and Nicole, man, like they're tighter than you two, but
doesn't he know any better than to bring like a duo to Final 3? Like how, like I would say, like how stupid could you be to bring a tight-knit duo that are together to Final 3? Who does that?
Who does that?
I need to ask Enzo. I need to ask that.
Who does that?
It's embarrassing. That's what it is.
Who does that?
That is.
Who does that? Listen, hey, it worked out for him, I guess. Kinda. Oh my! Who does that? Cliff?
I mean, I'll ask.
Definitely Cliff.
I know that you have a question, Nicole, but I want to ask this one first, just because there has been so many people who have asked this as well. I mean, obviously, it's no secret there were wall yellers all season. It seemed like a lot of people from the outside world wanted you guys to target Nicole and Cody. Was there ever, I mean, obviously it wouldn't make sense for you to do it being in an alliance with them, but did that ever add anything to your decision making? Did you ever have them on some sort of a chopping block or saw them as a bigger target because of things like the wall yellers?
I wouldn't say it made me have them on a chopping block. I would say like Nicole and Cody as a duo seemed a little bit more obvious than the wall yeller. Really, it just kind of solidified it in a way, I guess. I don't know. But I definitely thought Nicole was one of Cody's options. And I thought early on, like, all right, we're going to have to eliminate Cody's other options. So that way, if it comes down to him and I want him to pick me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't say that that's something that really actually dictated my game personally, because I was kind of just going with the flow and letting them do whatever. And eventually I was going to have to cut one of them, which was my big plan. So no, I can't really say it dictated a lot, but I felt like one of them had to go at some point. And it was probably
Which one would you want to cut first, a Cody or a Nicole?
Well, towards the end of the game, if I would have stayed, I would have gone for Cody. I wanted Cody to get 5th place if I would have stayed my last week. But earlier on in the game, I of course wanted to get out Nicole while, just to get from Cody, and her and I never really trusted each other that much. Like it was so obvious we were just in an alliance, but didn't really trust each other. So yeah. Right.
See, my whole thing early in the game, I was like probably a Nicole and a Danny would have gone up. I say Nicole and Cody, but Cody didn't nominate me that first week, and I'm the type of person, loyalty, eye for an eye. So I probably would have done like a Nicole and a Danny.
Interesting. All right. Yeah. It just seemed like kind of I remember there was the whole like Danny, Nicole, Cody, and myself floating around, but I guess it was actually like Enzo and Ian were intertwined in that. I don't know. Yeah, they were tight though, Nicole and Danny, for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And very openly.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can go over the hour because we do have a couple more questions.
For sure.
One of which is from Aman Adwin. Tyler, can you describe any pressure you may have been under to break your record? Did you have an all or nothing mentality coming into All Stars or no? And this is from the TV Co chat.
To break my record.
Like, as you know, you made second last time. Did you come in this time like it's either I win or it was all for nothing?
I wouldn't say either I win or it was all for nothing, but I did know, like, if I get second or less than second, I got worse. You know, like everyone's gonna tell me for the rest of my life that I got worse. So I was like, there's two things I haven't done in Big Brother. I have never won and I have never been evicted. And one of them is bound to happen.
Yeah.
I didn't win, you know what I mean? And it definitely took me a while to really figure it out. I was kind of more trying to lay low as much as I could at the beginning and then kind of turn it on. But I just couldn't turn it on. And I definitely wouldn't say it's all for nothing, because I could have got dead last and I still would have been able to put a positive spin on it, you know, because that's just what I do. I just try to be good in every situation. You gotta do that to get through life. So no, I didn't put that much pressure on myself, but I did put a lot of pressure on myself to make other people proud and make Angela proud and just to be a good person, you know what I mean? So in that aspect, I felt the weight of the world on my shoulders, just being a good guy and trying to show who I really am. But game-wise, it didn't really matter to me a whole lot where I placed, because I felt like I could have put a good spin on it, you know.
Which I will say, and I spoke about this all season, and I feel like whether you've been in that game, I feel like you didn't really, like, I would always say it, and Eric would be like, all right, but I go, no, this is so, like, weird. Everybody in that game, for the most part, made it to, like, finale night. Maybe not a couple people, but most people made it to finale night. So I go, most of us are getting a very different experience. We're used to getting the confetti or walking out on stage on finale night. And for some of us to go out pre-jury, that was kind of like, oh, okay. For some of us to go out jury, like, it's a very, like, did you feel that way? Kind of like, oh, this is weird. Like, I'm Tyler. I make it to finale night. Like, what is this?
For sure. I remember, like, one of the most, I don't know if I was being, like, reflective or what, but I remember as I was being evicted, I remember, like, thinking, take this all in, you know, this is the new part, you know, this is new to you. You've never been through this, so you're gonna want to remember this. And honestly, it was kind of a interesting, cool experience to be evicted, because I was just taking it all in as new and as interesting. And it's that little part of the game that's like, you know, we hadn't been through before really on that extent. And the whole game felt like, it's like, man, this is just, we've already done all of this, you know what I mean? So that was the new part for me. So in a weird way, I was kind of like, all right, this is kind of cool.
Okay.
I'm talking to Julie right now.
I probably wouldn't go back, but if I did, I want to at least make it to jury so I can say, well, I went out pre-jury, I went to finale, and now I'm in this mansion just chilling.
Right. Yeah. The whole jury experience was cool too. It was like, it's so different, you know what I mean? And it's the different part that's fun, you know. I enjoyed it, but I'm definitely ready for it to end.
Well, I hope that you're making a new friend to see you through it next time. So, I have a very serious question, and a lot of people were a little bit confused by it, Tyler. I'm just going to ask it to you this way. What did you think of your comic this season?
I just think I'm going to get a haircut after this now, because I didn't know it was that frizzy, man.
It's not.
No.
Here's the frizzy in real life, right? Come on.
It is not. I obviously met you last season. I met you but living with you, your hair doesn't look like that. And fun fact about Tyler, because everybody's like, oh, Cody is like John Travolta. He must smell good. And I always tell people, no, Tyler has like an aura. You would enter just the premises and everybody in the room would be like, what is that? And I go, I think that's part of your social game. I think you just allure people with this smell of clean. Like mine is probably like BO, but yours is like clean goodness, you know?
Yeah.
It's ocean.
It just smells like the beach.
It's just like, here comes Tyler. And your hair was never like that ridiculous frizzy. Your hair was always like lovely.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, all right, that's production's way of getting back at me for trying to leave, I guess. Like, you guys suck, man.
They're like, frizz it up.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm getting a haircut now. Come on.
Oh yeah, oh my God, you have no idea how I feel about comics. Yes, just like how I feel Nicole walked around that house like my co-host, my co-host, my co-host, and then she was the pod master all by herself.
Master,
Or
where's
yeah. Where was I? Don't worry, I put myself in it. Apparently that was a problem. And Janelle went out so early in her comic book battle scene. I feel like the people that they felt like this season that they might not have. I feel like they're throwing a little shade in their comics. Is all I'm saying.
Yo, for sure. I for sure caught some shade there.
Yeah, there was.
I am sensitive about my deep conditions, so
yeah.
There was definitely a little bit going on. I'm sorry, Nicole. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think I think the artists do an immaculate job, and oftentimes and most times they come out stunning. But I don't feel like that was an accurate depiction of you, Tyler.
Thank you. I appreciate it. If you said the opposite, I'd definitely be shaving my head.
But you and I have a similar power. We both have electricity.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
We got the electricity. I got diabolical follicles. Yeah. No, we're cool, right?
That's awesome.
Ourselves into making us feel better. Yes.
That was very funny when Nicole watched and she was freaking out and loving it so much, and like she was like running around the living room like screaming, and then I forgot who it was, but I just remember turning to her and I go, "You realize you're bad, right?" And I'm like, "You realize you're getting people to rob banks and be zombies?"
You're a hero now. You're a villain.
I was like, "You're the villain."
How the tables turned so quickly from last year.
They do, don't they?
They love a roller coaster ride. I want to ask you before we run out of time, because I know a lot of people are wondering this as well. Was there any scenario of voting that would have changed your mind not to vote for Cody? Meaning, was there anything that Enzo could have done to get your vote? Or had it been Nicole sitting next to Cody, would he still have gotten your vote?
I don't know. I feel like going into it, I felt like I had a pretty solid understanding of Cody's game, but I still wanted to be open to hearing what he had to say. And then it kind of solidified that, hearing what Enzo and Cody both had to say about their own game. It kind of was like, okay, I guess I did have a solid understanding. But I guess if they were going totally opposite off the wall, both throwing out things I had never heard or never even thought of, it could have changed it. But I didn't see that happening. And going into it, before the speeches, if it was Cody versus Nicole, I would have voted for Cody.
Okay. What if Cody had walked out third?
If Cody had
Enzo and Nicole,
I would have voted for Enzo in that scenario.
What if Nicole won and booted Cody and took Enzo?
I feel like I still would have voted for Enzo.
Wow.
Enzo was driving home a lot of solid points that he was never a target. Like no one ever even thought to put him on the block, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's huge, I feel like the biggest move of the season would have been for Nicole to get out Cody, but I couldn't see that outweighing all that Enzo had done to avoid being a target. He was winning comps at the same time. He was making people feel good. But with that being said, I'm not taking anything away from Nicole, because she did the same thing and she was a previous winner, So I definitely would have been. I wanted to be super open going into it, but beforehand, if it was Cody versus Nicole, I would have voted Cody. If it was Enzo versus Nicole, I would have voted Enzo. But I was definitely open to hearing what they had to say. I wanted my line to be blown. It didn't really get blown, but it was a great game.
I think for me, as someone watching, it was hard to say that Cody didn't deserve that win. I mean, I feel like it was real obvious that Cody was winning things when he needed to. Yes, had an alliance and all of those things. I think Cody was a good winner for the season, is my point, and I think a lot of us wanted a good winner after the season. But Tyler, I feel like you are somebody that can be a tiebreaker at the moment, of a hot topic around here. Okay.
Oh.
Because Kevin was the first one to do the show.
Yeah.
And Kevin claimed that Ian tried to escape from Jury House. Scale the fences, grappling hooks, running into the neighbor's house, full on escaping. Then Ian was on yesterday and he was like, that is absolutely not true. I just walked up to the fence and looked out it and was like, oh, I want to leave.
Ian's version is true, but Kevin's version is a way better story.
Okay.
So we can go with that.
Okay.
Wait, so are we saying that Kevin fabricated and I believed him again?
Kevin may have added to the story a little bit, but from my understanding, Ian just popped his head out the door, and the security guard said, no. So, man,
Kevin said he was scaling fences, and I was like, really? Wow, Kevin.
If you were scaling fences, he must have just told Kevin about that, because I didn't
funny.
there to see that. But yeah, he was over it, man. I felt for the dude. I felt like when I got there, him and I were both like, because I was almost in his shoes, you know. I almost went home that week, so I felt for him, man. But man, yeah, no scaling fences that I know of.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. We're gonna see. We're gonna see what David says tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're going down the line, everybody.
Everybody.
Having.
Better get your story straight.
I'm with Ian on that one, man. That's my guy. You just poke his head out. Just a little poke.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What I do want to do before we do wrap up is do like a play-by-play of some of the things on your resume. One of which is the Tiger Zing comp, which very, reference to Tiger King, of course, and very similar to a comp that you played on your season with like the running through the maze, and you did very well. Versus, maybe the other side of the spectrum, the snapshot shuffle comp that you timed out on.
Yeah. Which one do you think I liked better? Which one do you think I enjoyed more?
I want you to talk about both.
Yeah. Never timed out on a comp in my life until I needed it more than any other time in my life. So I used to think I was good under pressure. Now I don't.
Now, was it more so because you were so nervous because you knew you had the potential to go home, or was that comp not the clearest, if I could word it that way?
It wasn't. No, I would still be doing it right now. I would still be doing it. I did not understand that comp whatsoever. I don't know if like you guys at home understood what was going on, but if you did,
it took us a minute.
Someone fill me in, because that was not for me. I knew that probably about 5-ish minutes in. I was like, you're gonna have to just time me out. I was saying my goodbyes to the production, to the cameramen. I was like, oh, thank you guys, man. 2 years, like it's been crazy. I was saying my goodbyes like before it was over. Not for me. You had like half-eaten hot dog, and then it was like fully eaten, but then you had ice cream on your face, and I don't know. It was something else.
Oh, now I didn't want to ask because I felt stupid, because I really had no idea what comp you were talking about. And now I know what one you're talking about based on that factor, as I like to call it, the episode that because obviously we watch them all together. We would do like a watch party of them, Tyler. But I called that episode the episode that Nicole sat next to me and screamed, oh my God, I'm back on Big Brother for an hour.
yeah,
it's very surreal.
And it was not her body. She was very upset.
See, Tyler knew. Tyler's like, Nicole never wore a blue shirt.
No, you had ice cream all over your face. There was a baseball you stole or something. I don't know. You crushed it. But it was good to see you then. It was.
Thank you.
But I had no clue what you were doing.
Yeah. We need to go back and watch those. Go ahead, Nicole. I'm just going to shut up and let you go through your list.
I was also going to make the joke that you are one of the fellow we did not use our safety suite people.
Sure did.
Which, I mean, it didn't work out well for Keisha, and it didn't work out well for me, but you're the one other person that didn't use it, but it didn't really matter. So kudos to you, my non-safety suite using friend.
Hey, thanks.
I didn't realize you didn't use it.
Huh?
I didn't realize you didn't use it till we were watching, what was it, the finale, when they asked one of the questions, who didn't use it? I'm like, oh, Tyler never did.
Yeah, because I was HOH the third week. Yeah, I was saving it. I was saving.
That's right.
That was a weird twist, huh?
Which one would you have liked to play in? Had you, hindsight 2020?
Probably the laser beam ones. I didn't get a chance to watch all that. I saw a little bit of the Janelle and Kaysar one with the music, but I would have sucked at that. But I would have been good at the laser one, I think.
That would have been cool.
Yeah,
that would have been the one I played in had I stayed. But
yeah,
that's not relevant right now. We'll talk to Memphis when he comes on the show. Anyway,
I want to watch the Memphis episode.
Oh, let me tell you, I plan on not talking. It's happening, everyone. I'm just gonna not talk. I might just have it be the two of them, and I'm just gonna sit here and watch it front row and just be behind the scenes. I'm here for it.
I have a lot of questions for the man. I need to know why he hates me so much.
I don't think he hates you. Well, no, I don't think he hates you.
I don't know why he felt threatened by me.
You're a very threatening person, Nicole. Like, have you ever looked in the mirror? You know what I mean? Like, you're so intimidating.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be watching.
Well, I see a ton of people asking. I'm going to say this is the final question that I'm going to take from places, just because there are so many people asking it. They want to know if you have visitation rights of Mulan.
I don't want to talk about it, man. I don't want to talk about it. Well, listen. All right, I did get a new Mulan in the mail from a very nice fan a couple days ago. It's just not the same. It's just not the same when you rescue and bring one into this world. Enzo, have you guys seen Enzo's recent Instagram post though?
I have.
He's got his kids in the back, and he's got Mulan strapped in the front seat, ordering her like milkshakes. And I don't know how I feel about it. You made her drink a milkshake. She's vegan, man. Like, yeah.
Here's the thing, Tyler. Enzo lives like 20 minutes from Nicole and I. So
yes.
Snatch her up, please.
I'm just saying we could work something out.
Cow napping. Yeah, she's got Enzo's sunglasses on. She's got his Bayonne shirt on at the moment. Like, she's got to have an accent before I get a chance to see her again. Can you guys please
tap? No, everything will be yo.
Yo. That's Yolan.
It's Yolan.
Yolan?
Man.
It is Yolan. But yeah.
Tyler, we want to thank you so much for joining us and being so open about your entire journey. I do, before we wrap it up and give you your platform to tell people where to follow you. Overall, what are your thoughts on the season? Of course, you were one of the top 2 AFPs, which I think is a huge testament to you as a player and as a person. But what are your final thoughts on All Stars?
Oh my gosh. Final thoughts. I'm happy I was a part of it, no matter how it went down. Like I said, I'm going to put a positive spin on everything. I think if everyone lived their lives that way, it'd be better. You know what I mean? Yep. So I got nothing but positive things to say about everybody in that house. If we take all the good in everybody, then nobody's ever that bad. So that's how I'm going to be. That's how I'm going to be forever. So I'm happy. And it's good to talk to you too, by the way. It's been forever.
Likewise. Reunited.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, well, let's start with this. Where do you want people to follow you on social media, Tyler?
You can follow me at Tyler Crispen 2 on Instagram and Tangela Inc. Subscribe on YouTube. We're going to be making more videos coming up soon. I think Angela just posted a vlog today, but we're going to be making more vlogs soon, talking more Big Brother. And yeah, that's it.
And we're going to put the links to all of your guys' socials. Of course, Not in Chain, Angela's cookbook, like that. Well, now, can we call it a cookbook if we're not cooking? Doesn't the word cook involve fire?
It does. But listen, you can just read it.
I can't read. I'm read to.
Food book.
Okay.
Angela's food book.
Angela's food book.
Yes.
Food book. You just look at the pretty pictures and you're good.
I do have to say, in all honesty, there was a person in our chat, Michelle, who was saying she loved the book. She actually bought, I believe, 2 or 3 copies of it and was giving it out to people the other day.
That is so sweet. Thank you so much, Michelle. That makes me so proud. I didn't get to see it before until I got out, and I was like crying like a baby when I saw it.
And I had one of, like on Instagram has like the fan pages. I had a Tangela fan page send me Angela's book, like her novel, her memoir, her,
unbothered. All right.
Because I was unbothered because I was talking about it in the house. So one of your fan pages was like, Nicole, learn about Angela. And I was like,
that's awesome. There are such great people in the world.
Isn't that cool?
That is so sweet. That's
Speaking of good people, Tyler and Angela have been phenomenal enough to allow us, is that the right word, to do a giveaway of a Naught and Chain bracelet.
Yes.
Woo! All you have to do is comment on the post, tag your friends, and be following Naught and Chain, Reality Recaps, and Angela's Plant-Based Kitchen. And that's how you enter. Every person you tag is one entry, and the winner will be announced on Sunday.
Here's what I have to say. We're going to put the links to all of these things, all of these socials, all of the stuff over on our website at hellofriendspod.com for this episode. But Tyler, as somebody I just think gets it in a little different way now, I have to say, I am so happy that you're out of that house. I am so happy that you're back with Angela. I think it's very clear to see how much you guys care about each other, love each other, support each other. I only hope that you can help me find someone like that for Nicole, so she will literally leave my house. And no, it is just great watching positive people come out of that game, and people come out of that game who want to put good and positivity into the world. I don't think we see that a lot. So know that there are a lot of people that appreciate that about you, Tyler. All of the chats have been filled with people saying just how much they think you're a great person.
I appreciate that, man. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And Nicole and Eric, you guys are killing it, man. Like, you guys, by the way, this is the only podcast that I'm going to do, like, Big Brother related. And it's a reason because I love you two. And I've been saying that all season long, too, and I'm sticking to it. Nothing against any of the other ones, but you guys are crushing it. I love this thing.
Well,
Thanks, Tyler. We love you.
We do. Nicole, final thoughts?
Final thoughts now, emotional, because he said this is the only interview he's going to be doing. This was a season. I don't know what adjective to put in front of it, but it was a season. From one empath to another, I think you played a hell of a game. You kept your head high, and you played with morals. And in the real world, you still uphold those morals and continue forward positively, which I love. And I just thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Nicole. You're the best. You're the pretty.
We will see all of you guys tomorrow back here, same time with David, and we will be announcing our next group of people joining the show then. We will see you guys all later.
Bye, friends.
Bye, everybody. Bye, guys.